Hello, and welcome to the 167th edition of Beer Issues. My name is Matt Bruckert, and I'm coming to you live here from Casa de Bruckert today. We're going to be having another, what I would like to say is an outstanding beer, but apparently the critics don't think as highly acclaimed as I do. Today we're going to be having the Boddingtons Pub Ale. And I'm going to talk about this beer, but this is what I would consider to be a very refreshing and delicious beer. And the reason I say that the critics don't care for it as much as I do, this only gets rated a 74 out of 100, which would make it just an okay beer. And I have a hard time with that rating because I am a fan. I've always been a fan of the Boddingtons. First of all, as you can see, this beer is in the process of cascading just like a Guinness. That's because it's actually, there's a widget in the can which actually releases the nitrogen when you open it. So you are getting cascade action just as you would getting it on draft in a bar. Now, I will be honest with you, it's better in a bar than it is out of the can. I don't know what the exact difference is, but there's definitely a difference in quality in the beer. The beer only clocks in at 4.7% alcohol by volume, so it's a very drinkable beer. Now you see how it's maintaining that perfect head right there. I'll pour a little bit more in here. That's the beautiful thing about having the widget. That head should hold there good and long, and it's a nice perfect head on there with the small tiny little bubbles, and you're still getting cascading in the beer. And there's carbonation in the beer, full carbonation in the beer. Now, this Boddington Pub Ale is actually a English style pale ale. So, but the funny thing about it is when you smell this, you're not getting like a lot of pale ales in the U.S. are hoppy. This is not a hoppy beer. It's got a sweetness to it from the malt. Like bread when it's first cooking. You know how you get that fresh bread smell in there? That's from the malts, but there's definitely a sweetness. I don't know if there's they do honey in here. But they've been making this beer for over 200 years. And one thing that a lot of people don't realize about Boddingtons is now actually part of the Budweiser group. So they're all owned by InBev, but it's kind of funny thinking of this English ale being part of the Budweiser group. Anyway, let's go ahead and taste it and let's see. I haven't had this in a while. I'm long overdue, so. Absolutely delicious. And that's why I can't understand how this beer only gets a 72 rating, because it is such just a solid, drinkable beer. I mean, I would put this beer in the high 80s to low 90s. The only reason it wouldn't be higher than that is just because of the fact that it's a very basic beer. There's no complexity to the beer. It's just a very good English ale. I don't even know what other way to explain it. It's very light, very creamy. Light, refreshing. This is something you could drink of an evening, or you could even drink this out by the poolside. It's so light and refreshing. It's got a very creamy taste to it. Very, very, just a nice beer. And they've been making it for over 200 years. So obviously I'm not the only person who likes it, right? Stupendous, stupendous. Now this beer, they originally started making this, or started the brewery was actually opened in 1778 as a Strange Way Brewing Company. And I guess around the year of 1932, they brought on Henry Boddington, who was their salesperson, who ended up buying the entire brewery, got out loans and bought the brewery. And I think in 1953 is when it actually became Boddington. So this brewery's been around for a long, long time. And I think when they first started off, I think they were doing like 10,000 barrels of beer a year. And I think in 1993, I don't know what it is today, but I think I saw in 1993, they were making 850,000 barrels of Boddingtons. So it's obviously grown and done well over the years. Now, the neat thing about this is the Boddingtons, if you see on the front of the can here, there's a wooden barrel or keg, and there's two bees on the front. And I've always kind of wondered what the bees were on the front. You know, do they put honey in this beer, or what? You know, what's the situation? But really, I think that the bees on there is you know, part of where it's from in Manchester, England. This is one of their symbols. They have bees because it's such a busy, hardworking city that they're busy like bees, is what they always say. So it became kind of a standard saying, and there's on a lot of different monuments actually in Manchester. Basically, they call it the Hive. Because of the hardworking people there. So anyway, just a little known tidbit about Boddingtons and why there's two bees on the front of the barrel there. It has to do with its original home, which was in Manchester. I think it moved at one point. I don't think that the beer is still brewed in Manchester, but that's where it was originally brewed. Such a fine beer. Anyway, if you enjoyed this, make sure you tell your friends about Beer Issues and how much fun we're having drinking great beer and talking about great beer. And if they want any cool Beer Issues gear, make sure they stop at shop.beerissues.com to get hats, shirts, you know, whatever you might want to get there. It's all there. And as my wife likes to say, I have beer issues.